Hey, welcome to another edition of SJHL Insider. I'm your host here, Clark Munroe at the IKS Media Studios. It's going to be a fun show today. It's Thursday, December 11th. We have 1 week until the Christmas break, basically. A little bit more than that, I guess, but basically. And we have a big show today because it's time to reveal the Viking Cup roster. We have the roster for you. We're going to bring on the general manager, Rick Oakes, of course, of the Melfort Mustangs, but he's also the general manager who put this team, or helped put this team together. So he's going to come on and talk about it, but we're going to reveal the roster. We're going to talk about, me and Nugsy will have some fun with lines and defensive pairings and stuff like that. Just, throwing our ideas out there, but it's going to be a great show. We're going to recap what was a postponed day on Tuesday and also a Wednesday game that actually changed the standings quite a bit, so we'll get into that. We're going to talk about the upcoming week as well with some big storylines coming our way. But let's first thank our sponsors. We'll thank Cantera Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Canalta Hotels, SGEU, Sask Lotteries, UPL, Chevrolet, Great Western Brewing Company, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and the Viking Cup sponsor, Vaderstad. So thank you to those guys, and thank you to this guy, Jamie Neugebauer, for joining me today, because Nugsy, I was really looking forward to Tuesday's games, and they got postponed. But it's a big week for the league, not only because of what happened last night in the game between Weyburn and Nipawin, but also the Viking Cup. We've been talking about this for a couple months now. It's finally here. We can talk about it. And we're breaking the news on this show. So if you're listening to this right away when we post it, you'll be the first ones to know about the roster. The article and the actual announcement will come out after the show's been out for about an hour or so. So Nugsy, it's an exciting week, don't you think?
It's an exciting week. I think, of course, everybody gets geared up to play and then it doesn't work out. That's the way weather goes. But it's been pretty good for that this year.
Yeah.
In general, the one team that maybe is a little happy-ish is the Yorkton Terriers, because they don't have to play without Tommy Rees in that game. So there's that, I guess, piece of it. But, otherwise, obviously the same could be, said about Teo Flory on the Melfort Mustangs, Trevor Blevins as well. So there's that too, of course. But and obviously just can't wait to reveal the Viking Cup. I did a whole media guide. I made a bazillion graphics. Try to make it up, try to make these players feel special and show that we appreciate them taking some of their holiday time out to represent our league.
Before we get to the hat trick, Nugsy, speaking of Tommy Rees and Teo Flory and all those guys, what's the latest on the Junior A World Challenge?
There you go. I'm training you.
I got it. Because I didn't include that in our hat tricks topics, so why don't we just do that before we get to it?
Yeah, so, the Team Canada West only got a single point from the group stage, or the round robin, which finished up yesterday with a loss 4-0 against the United States. Tay Timmerman played great in that game, made 35 saves. But, the good thing about the Junior A World Challenge is you only need to win 2 games to win a gold medal. And so everybody gets into the semifinal. And not only that, but it's not like, and as good as Canada East has been, it's not like they have to face the Swedish Helinka team or the USHL All-Stars to do it.
Right.
They have to beat Canada East, who they played hard in the group stage. So
it was a tight game.
So they're going to play at 2 p.m. Saskatchewan time, 3 p.m. Eastern. You can catch that on HN Live for the semifinal, Canada East versus Canada West tomorrow, and for the right to play in the gold medal game. And they didn't win, but they haven't gotten hammered. They've played pretty well. They've played pretty hard. They finally got a game, and no disrespect to anybody meant, but they finally got a game where goaltending was the best story for Canada West, where Tay was terrific. And then, you just go in and throw out the round robin, and you have to beat other CJHL players. And again, that's not disparaging anybody. Those are great players, obviously. Lots of great players everywhere. Yeah. But, I think it's something that they got to feel good about. And Trevor Blevins knows how to build a team through a tournament, through a playoff series. And I'm sure they're going to be ready to go tomorrow.
And we saw it last year where they won the game that mattered to get them into the game that mattered. So, exactly. They won the bronze. So, it is what it is. And
they didn't just win the bronze. They dominated.
They dominated.
And they dominated Canada East during the round robin as well. Just couldn't finish their chances. But
Yeah.
Hey, again, Trevor Blevins, great coach. Rylan Huey has been outstanding. A lot of people are like, oh, is he there? Is he a filler? Is he a grinder? Blah blah. He's done everything. He's been a top 6 forward. So Tay Timmerman bounced back from 2 bad ones we talked about early against the Swedes and figured it out. So SJHLers are showing well too. So that's a good piece.
Tommy Reese with a goal. Wyatt Stinton with
Tommy's
a couple
been
of goals.
Tommy looks exactly the same as he does in the SJ, which is a huge compliment because he's terrific. Yeah.
Well, let's hit the hat trick now, and we'll jump into our topics here for the show. Thank you, Bryce. As just a side note, I forgot that I had these back here, but the awesome UPL playoff hat, speaking of the hat trick, on the desk there between us, and also the Western All-Star Challenge hat that Palliser Insurance has their logo on. You can't really see it because the Movember mug is in the way, but boy, those hats are awesome. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to them, UPL and Palliser Insurance. But Nugsy, there was one game. Let's just have a look at what happened on Tuesday. Oddly enough, one game got canceled for weather. The other game wasn't weather, but it was ice plant issue in L'Orange, which is unfortunate. But the ice was unsafe, so they decided to wait and play this game at another date. So good for them, just to make sure the players weren't going to be in danger. So Tuesday's games got postponed. Of course, this is the Sask Lotteries look back. This is the Elk Ridge scorecard here. Last night, Weyburn got a 4-2 win. Obviously, it was 3-2 late, and then an empty netter made it 4-2. Nugsy, this was a big game between two teams that have been playing really well. They're both making moves to load up this year. They both see an opportunity to potentially make a long playoff run on both sides of whatever they're doing. And now with this win tonight, or last night, I should say, Weyburn has moved into first place after, they've kind of been hovering in that 2 to 5 range for a few weeks, maybe a month now. Now they finally have put it together and they've jumped over Flin Flon, who has been white hot lately. So how big was this game for Weyburn, and what did you see in this one?
Yeah, I watched a bunch of it actually, and I thought that the Nipawin Hawks will know. Get the negative out of the way right away. The Nipawin Hawks know they can play better than they played today. That game, they were not very good. There's so many instances where, around the blue paint, around the house, where Weyburn just had a huge numerical advantage around Gage Roberts, who is terrific, by the way, which is not a big surprise, because Gage Roberts is terrific every time he seems like he plays. But it wasn't a great performance, especially in the second and third period for Nipawin. So there's that. On the flip side, again, everybody's all like, who are you giving credit to? Blah, blah, blah. The Weyburn Red Wings deserve a ton of credit. They were the hungrier team. They were a team that looked like they knew what how playoff hockey's going to look. This Nipawin Hawks team cannot outskill teams every night. They know that. And they've been pretty solid defensively all year. So they'll be better. But I think Cody Mapes is going to have a huge smile on his face. I asked him how the roads were. He said the roads were fine, actually. And his team, he's like, but my team played great, and he was really happy with them. And Nate Stevens made some big saves as well. First two goals, again, maybe were definitely the Watson one he maybe wanted back, but the Jansen one was maybe a tip, so hard to blame a goalie for that. But two quick goals in 40 seconds, late in the third period, and then Munroe breaks their heart. So
not me,
not you, not related, I don't think either, because he spells his name differently. But yeah, it was a good lesson. It was a great performance and a great sign if you're a Weyburn fan, and I think it was a good lesson for the Nipawin Hawks what it's going to look like when you get down to brass tacks this year.
Well, and that's one thing, Newsy, that you and I have talked about quite a bit this season. And when I'm watching those highlights, that if you're watching on YouTube, you saw the highlights just play of the game last night, and it was 2-0 with 5 minutes basically left in the third period. This is a game that Nipawin had no business losing simply because of what the scenario that they put themselves in. They should not have lost this game. I'm just going to straight up say they should not have lost that game.
I would say Gage deserved better.
Yeah. But
I wouldn't say that the Hawks, per se, with no disrespect to anybody, deserved better.
But what I was getting at, though, is
if you're winning 2-0 with 5 minutes left, you
got to win that game.
You're right.
But this is a good sign of what we've been talking about Nipawin. Is they're a group, and they've played great this year, so I'm not trying to disparage them. They're a group that hasn't been used to winning a lot in the last year or two. Weyburn just made it to the finals. They know what it takes to win a game like that. And they showed it last night where, maybe they didn't capitalize on their chances through the first 54 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we got to win this game. They stepped on the gas.
Yeah.
They got it done. They scored 3 goals. They scored an empty netter in the last 5.5 minutes of the game. Nipawin, on the other hand, has to find ways in a game like that against a very good team.
Very good.
To shut it down. So this is a great lesson for them. I would look at this if I'm Tad Kozin, and I don't mean to speak for Tad, but if I'm Tad, I'm looking at this as a great opportunity to teach and say, this is the example now of where we were. This is the example of what not to do, and this is how we get better and do it next time. That's a great opportunity for Nipawin, but at the same time, can't be losing games like that.
No, and
especially at home.
Absolutely. And, I've had this conversation, too, with coaches a bunch where the game after they make a huge addition to their roster, they don't always play great. And we've seen that over and over again. And obviously the big news came out that Braden Jockums,
big news.
Former Portland Winterhawk, was playing very well, in fact, in the North American League for Minot. Wanted to be a little bit closer to home. So he's a Saskatoon boy, obviously. So back with Nipawin where he was a couple of years ago. It's a massive addition.
Huge.
And my understanding is that he played very well too. But sometimes teams can be a little flat when they're like, we got a big addition, now we don't have to work super hard and blah, blah, blah. now it's just going to come easy. But not, I'm not saying I know that for a fact. That's what the Hawks were thinking. But we've also seen that before too. So I'm not concerned about the Hawks, but to your point, you're absolutely right. This is a great lesson at this point in the season.
It's a great lesson. And it's a to the season for it to happen, like you said. But Braden Jockums, just want to emphasize, I think, how huge that move and that addition to that roster is going to be. I think back to Braden Jockums as an 18-year-old. Point per game. What did he have, like 21 goals or something as an 18-year-old? Then he played some WHL, went and played, like you said, very well in the North American League with Minot. Now he's back, to close out his junior career.
15 goals in 28 games.
That's what it was.
In
15
34
and 28.
Or 23-24 was picked up by Portland, which is fair enough because that's a great organization. It never really clicked for him in the Western League, but obviously the Jockums family, very good. His sister Caitlin was a terrific player as well. She's actually playing pro in Sweden after a terrific Cornell D1 career as well. So cool family there between Alita Cordy and Caitlin Jockums. The sisters of players in our league are some of the elites, but pretty cool. Pretty cool for the Hawks to get Jockums back.
I'll make a bold statement here and say, mark the date from when he joined his first game. I wouldn't be shocked if he's top, I'll say 5 in league scoring the rest of the way.
Oh, you mean like from now on?
From now on. Obviously, I don't think he's going to gain 44 points or anything on you and Rennie, but
that's a fair thing. I think it depends on the team too. Like Nipawin has a lot of great players, a lot of mouths to feed. So that'll help you play well. They don't need him to be their savior, which I think is terrific.
I just think he's going to
he's a game breaker.
He's a producer. Let's have a look at why this game had a lot to do, I think, with the standings, with topic number 2 of the hat trick. As you can see, Weyburn was sitting in second place. They were 1 point back of Flin Flon. This now pushes them ahead. They have the same amount of games played, Nugsy, so it's a pretty good measuring stick of where everybody's at now. Nipawin and Estevan also around the same amount of games, and they're tied for 3rd. So Nipawin, obviously, losing that game, they didn't go down in the standings at least, but they had a chance to also jump up and tie Flin Flon in that game. So it was a big game. And the reason I wanted the Tuesday games to go down was because Estevan was involved, and they had a chance to maybe move into a tie for first place as well. And Melfort and L'Orange, as you can see near the bottom, they were playing each other on Tuesday. That got postponed. So Kindersley's in 5th place right now on their own with 33 points. Battleford's 3 games in hand on Kindersley. They have 32 points, and they have a big weekend coming up. We'll talk about that later. The Yorkton Terriers, Melville Millionaires right now, the Highway 10 teams are tied with 30 points in 7th and 8th. And then Humboldt, man, it's super weird seeing Humboldt and Melfort both out of the playoffs at the same time. We've talked about that a little bit this week already, but boy, that's just a weird sight. And those 2 teams have a big weekend coming up too, and we'll talk about that later and why that is. Hint, they play each other twice. But it's going to be a big weekend, Newsy. We'll get to that later. We'll have a look at the scoring leaders here now, as we kind of just hinted at a couple of the numbers. But you and Rennie and Jacob Streetzy continue to lead the way in both goals and points. They're tied for points, of course. Jacob Streetsy has the lead in goals. Rylan Williams having a solid season there with 40. Those top three haven't changed in a while. Gabriel Corshane also and Avery Johnson in the top five. That's kind of been the top five now for a couple weeks as they continue to just torch the league on their respective teams. Jai Zawatsky right there, of course, in sixth. Joey Lee's having a great season. Feels like he's been stuck at 30 for a little while. Kale Margolis, he's been great since rejoining the SJHL with 30 points in 24 games. Josh Sale is leading the way for the Weyburn Red Wings. He's got 30 points. And William Leonard has snuck into the top 10. Haven't seen his name in a little while. So that's great to see. Anything you want to touch on there before we move to goalies?
Great. I love you mentioning Leonard. Does so many little things, doesn't care. I mean, there's such a stereotype of French Canadian players. They're fancy, they're cute, they're pretty, blah blah blah. Like Leonard is a skilled kid, but that's not his game. Like he's hard nosed. He goes to the blue paint. He bangs pucks in.
Sure.
And it's that grit. And he's not a big boy, but he plays so physical. Like I think he's such a perfect fit with Zawatsky and Corshane on that line. And so it's no surprise to me that he's doing well.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at the goalies here. As we look, there's a new leader. And now the reason there's a new leader on this board is because we kind of moved the goalpost a little bit. Our graphic director, Kelly Lewick, said, hey, can I change the required starts so I can get Matthew Spencer-Dahl on the list? And we said, yes, that's appropriate. So Matthew Spencer-Dahl is not only on the list, he's leading it. He's 4-0 since joining the league. He's got a shutout, .964 save percentage in 4 games, and a 1. Just a 1 goals against. Again, that's only 4 games, so it's going to look crazy because the other guys have all played, 15, 18, whatever games, 10 games. But great start, obviously, so we had to get him on the list. Also, Finn Werner making an appearance now on the list. Again, we kind of changed the rules so that he could pop up. His goals against has been insane since joining the Flin Flon Bombers. And then, the usual suspects around. But the one guy I'm just going to point out, and we talked about him 4 minutes ago because you mentioned him in the video, the highlight video that we just watched. Nate Stevens. Look at his numbers up there. 929 save percentage. And this isn't a small sample size now. He started 9 games, 223 goals against. This guy has come in a time where Preston Patno was putting up great numbers as well. He was sick. He's dealing with the illness and whatever else. Nate Stevens has really stepped up. Back-to-back Rookie of the Weeks for him. And he's been great. I don't know if you want to touch on anybody else, but I thought Nate Stevens deserved a big shout out.
Yeah, I mean, what we know about Cody Mapes is it's a meritocracy in Weyburn.
Yeah.
Like it's a 100% meritocracy, and coaches
Google that word.
Will say that or say something like that. Meritocracy means if you're the best guy right now, then you will play. And it's not exactly Cody Mapes is a guy that defends his players. He loves his players. He's loyal in that way, but he's not going to be loyal if you're not loyal to him, if you know what I mean. Like if you're not out there performing, not that Preston hasn't, but Nate has, and really in a big way. So, you to your credit, like you listened to Daniel Wapple about him, the goalie coach there in Weyburn a long time ago.
Daniel looks really smart.
He looks very smart.
I emphasize the word looks really smart because, joking obviously, Wops, if you're watching, but he called this absolutely, like you said, before the season. He's like, Nate Stevens, whoa.
Legit, eh?
Yeah, so I mean, there you go. Great call, Daniel. I just wanted to give him a shout out because I think he deserves it for sure. Let's have a look at the face-off leaders. We always shout out the top 5s in face-offs. There is a new name. Well, he's been on the list prior, but a new name in terms of recently. Yibin Yu is back on the list for the Melville Millionaires. Otherwise, the other 4, they've been on it for a while now. Lucas Schmidt, of course, continues to lead the way. And we'll talk about him in just a moment. The Connor Miller in second, Stein Dostal in third, Anthony Campbell in fourth. Those guys have been kind of rotating in that top 4 for a little while now. But Yibin Yu, he was on it earlier in the year. He just got back onto it. So pretty cool to see. He's got a great story. Yeah. Maybe we'll have him on the show later on in the year because really cool story.
Though according to Doug Johnson, he is Canadian enough to play in our league. So I'm not trying to make anybody in trouble. The rules, it's all above board. But he is from Korea, and
that's why it's such a cool story.
Apparently, his English is getting worse playing for the Melville Millionaires. That's what Doug said.
No.
But he's probably joking. But
That's really funny.
Keep reading books that have the word meritocracy in it, Yibin, if you're listening.
There you go. Maybe we'll give him a book or two
Yeah.
for the Christmas break. He can read some books.
Yeah.
Shout out to Yibin Yu. That's
Shout
a really,
out.
really cool
Terrific.
story.
Good
All
for
right,
you.
Nugsy, this is why everyone's here. And this is why we're here, technically, today. It's a big day, the Viking Cup roster reveal. So again, just to reiterate what this is, I know we've talked about it a lot, but just in case. It's basically a tournament for our 2005-born players. So I've seen a lot of questions online, on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. It's like, you know what? I think this player should be on this team. I think this player should be on this team. And our biggest thing that we're just saying is, remember, if they're 2006, they're not really eligible. So a guy, for example, just because I saw you conversing with somebody on Twitter earlier, Landon Alexander for the Flin Flon Bombers. Great player. Would love to see him on this team.
Yeah.
He's a 2006, not really eligible. Connor Miller, we just talked about him.
Yeah.
2006. Tommy Reese, he's a 2006.
He's also busy.
And he's busy. But this is for 2005s, 20-year-old players in their last year of the league. So that's who made this team.
Yeah.
That's who was eligible for this team. So as much as you love your 2006s and your 2007s, that's for next year and the year after that.
And to your point, all those guys could have played on this team, and
Yes.
there are really good 06s in this league. So
I think we had this conversation. I can't remember who we talked about it with, but if and when we continue the Viking Cup participation, next year's team is going to be great.
yeah,
But
well, they should
that's for
always
next
be
year.
great.
Yeah, exactly. That's for next year.
there's no excuse.
Let's talk about this year because they're the ones that made the team this year. So let's have a look at the roster now. This is the official roster reveal. As you can see, the 12 forwards, the 6 defensemen, and the 2 goaltenders, all 2005-born players. Of course, the 20-year-old players. Let's go through it now. The forward group: Reed Arbery of the Flin Flon Bombers, Josh Sale of the Weyburn Red Wings, Lucas Schmid of the Weyburn Red Wings, Joey Lees of the Flin Flon Bombers, Brendan Olson of the Nipawin Hawks / Melville Millionaires earlier on in the season, Jai Zawatsky of the Yorkton Terriers, Zayden Saddlemeyer, the captain of the Melfort Mustangs, Ewan Rennie of the Estevan Bruins, obviously tied for the league lead in points, Drew Moldy of the Weyburn Red Wings, Rylan Williams sitting in 3rd place in points right now, Van Egger from the Kindersley Clippers, and Anthony Campbell of the Battleford's North Stars. Nugsy, let's come back into the studio now. We'll bring the graphic back up when we talk about the defensemen and the goalies, but this forward group, it's got a lot of mix. There's some size, there's some skill, there's some points, there's some jam. It's a really good balance, a really good mix of players. What did you think when you first saw this list? Just of the forwards.
Yeah, I think it's very two-way. A lot of the forwards are two-way forwards. There's a lot of grit and determination. I think there's a lot of face-off winners. Really, and we talked about making our lines.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, like, a lot of these lines could just go with whoever's hot on the draw because there's going to be multiple face-off takers regularly on each line. So I think there's terrific face-off men.
Yeah.
I think the best, all-around forward in the league, if I were to pick the best all-around forward in the league, it is Ewan Rennie to me. With no disrespect to a guy who's not coming, and we can talk about that in a bit. But so to have him and obviously his combination with Rylan Williams, and then you could put me on the right wing, and it'd probably be still pretty good. I'm just kidding. Obviously, you don't want to do that. But look,
You make that joke a lot, Nugsy.
and it's a good one. And
It's
I
a
like
great
it.
one.
It's a good It's a good lineup.
I'd
It's
love
very
to see you out there,
versatile.
by the way, with
Drew
those guys.
Kosher, thank you. Drew Kosher has a lot of fun options, and
Yeah.
there'll be a lot of reliability. There'll be times where this team might need to defend in their own zone and be a little bit under siege from college level players and whatnot. But I think these guys will be okay with that. They'll be able to handle it. And
sure.
a lot of these guys PK as well. So it's not an all-star team. It's a team built to win, and I like that.
I like that a lot. And just for a note, one forward that made the original roster
Yes.
but isn't going to
Right.
participate, Jacob Streetsy, of course,
Yes.
tied for the league lead in points and the league lead in goals. He has it. Jacob Streetsy was selected and just isn't going to participate due to some injury stuff that he's got going on. So just wanted to give Jacob Streetsy a shout out. He did make this roster. He's just not going to participate in the tournament. Let's bring that graphic back up now as we move on to the defensemen. Russ Demo of the Kindersley Clippers, Ethan Andrews of the Estevan Bruins, Boston Harkness of the Melville Millionaires, Sam Ward of the Flin Flon Bombers, Bo Eisner of the Melfort Mustangs, and Gavin Granger of the Battleford's North Stars. Nugsy, 2 guys from each division, I noted. And it's 3 left-handed guys, 3 right-handed guys, and one shout-out, I will give a shout-out to Vinny Palmerine, who did make this roster, just as Jacob Streetsy did, and decided to take the time off for some injury stuff. So Vinny Palmerine on the roster, not participating.
Yeah.
But we got some really good. Same with Streetsy. Yeah. So really good 6 guys, I think. I think we both selected some form of combination of both of these, all 6 of these guys, to be on this roster when we were kind of throwing names around. But when you see this group, what came to mind when you saw this group of 6? And Vinny, but this group of 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have liked to see Vinny.
Oh, yeah, well, yes, yeah.
Call me biased. I am biased, but it's just true.
100% biased, also true.
Biased and educated, that's what I tell my wife.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrific group. I think this group can really skate. I think that was the one thing I really wanted to see was a decor that could skate, that could break pucks out. Because especially in a situation where you maybe don't have the systems and the practice time in the pre-tournament games and whatever that you maybe want, sometimes you need a D-man to just break a puck out on his own, and these guys can all do that. And that's what you want, obviously, for your team that representing your league. They're all mature guys. They're great kids. I love the fact that Bo Eisner's back there because obviously he has that big game experience at the Centennial. Same with Saddlemeyer, but Bo's done it twice now at the Centennial. So you have that, and it'll be a group that we'll see how they handle the college level of physicality. So that's the thing that I'll be watching. Yeah. Because that's another level from the SJ. But if they can move pucks quickly and get it up and get pucks deep and keep things simple, then there's all the elements. And obviously Vinny didn't go, but I think the guy that kind of jumps in there is Sam Ward, and I think this team maybe. If Sam wasn't there, this team maybe would have missed, another power play kind of quarterback kid. Sure. I know Ethan Andrews is a terrific kind of power play quarterback type kid, but having another one in your back pocket with significant experience in various leagues like Sam Ward, including the Western Hockey League, I think is awesome. And so obviously, and between Boston Harkness and Vinny Palmerine, I think there's a great argument between those two, who are the 2 best defensemen in the league. So, yeah, again, it's really interesting. It's not just trying to have like an all-star team to score as many points as possible. It's a team, a group that's left and right, and guys who can be comfortable moving pucks and keeping things simple and getting it up, and it should be a lot of fun. And I should say, of these guys, the top 20 scorers in the SJ, 10 of the top 20 scorers in the league are on this team. Yeah. So it isn't an all-star team per se, but you look at the team, you're like, oh, is there enough goals? I think there's enough goals.
I think so. I have a good feeling about it. And the nice part about this defensive group, Newsy, is they're all sitting about at a point-a-game pace. Boston Harkness, 28 points, 28 games. Gavin Granger, 23 and 25. Sorry, Ethan Andrews, 27 and 27. Bo Eisner, 20 and 24. Sam Ward, 16 and 17. And Russ Demo, 15 and 19. You have 3 guys that are more skilled, agile skating types. You have 3 guys who are also agile and skilled, but have size. You got Eisner, Harkness, and Granger. Not Granger. Eisner, Harkness, and Demo, all 6'2" at least, or 6'3". The other guys, hovering around, Sam Ward's 5'9", but the other guys, hovering around 6 feet. So they had a really good mix. I really like the mix, and I think it's a good group of 6. And like I said, 3 lefties, 3 righties. I think the pairs are going to be fun to. I think I have an idea for what the pairs are going to be. I'm not Drew Kosher, though. My name's not Drew Kosher, so we'll see what he does. But I think it's going to be a fun mix.
I might disagree even. So
yeah, exactly. Fine. We'll talk about that after our interview with Rick Oakes, which is coming up in just a couple of minutes here. Let's have a look one more time. Bring up the roster one more time as we talk about the goaltenders. Charlie Tritt and Graham Brown. Nugsy, I feel like Charlie Tritt, for me, wasn't ever going to be a question mark. I think from the beginning, he kind of cemented his status as a guy who was going to be on this roster. Great. I'm so happy to see Graham Brown on this roster. I think he played so well last year. And the thing about him in the last year and a half is that maybe his numbers haven't reflected it, but at the same time, he has been that goaltender plenty of times where I'm like, man, he is so solid back there. You know, either he gets peppered with pucks in L'Orange or whatever the case may be. His numbers, I don't think, reflect how talented Graham Brown is, and I'm really excited to see him participate in this tournament. So Tritt and Brown, what are your thoughts on the two goalies?
Yeah, agree with Charlie. Had to be here. There were a lot of options. You know, some people who had a familiarity with the roster were already like, why isn't Gage Roberts the other goalie? And we talked about how that would be, you know, something that would be interesting to think about given, you know, the situation. But this is a tournament for 05s. Yeah. And again, I don't know 100% the situation there, but you know, this is a tournament for 05s, and they're all 05s. And yeah, 100% agree with you. Graham has been playing behind young decors that have a lot to learn in L'Orange, and I think Kevin Kaminsky would be the first to say that. But we had him on our show. There isn't a better kid in the league. There are a lot of great kids in the league that are equally as awesome, but there isn't a better one. And so I think you know, the maturity piece, you know, with those two guys, Tritt and Brown, who are just team guys, great kids, you know, want to win. You know, I think this is so good for Graham to be able to kind of really, really showcase what he can do for his advancement. Yeah. He's so good for L'Orange, and that's terrific. And he's never uttered a word of complaint or having a bad attitude for a millisecond ever, which is amazing. And I love that. And I saw that same kind of thing with Spencer Borsos last year, up close and personal.
It's a great comparison.
But yeah, so I'm just really happy for Graham, and you know, there were certainly other options. You know, obviously Devin Peck has figured it out a little bit there in Flin Flon. He had a great start, tough middle, you know, back where he is. You know, obviously, you know, Pat Nodd's been good lately. You talk about O'Halloran. Again, these guys will maybe have chances next year and moving forward.
They're both 06s, those guys.
So, you know, give the guys the opportunities that they have now, and hopefully this tournament is a success and we keep going back.
Caden Serpa maybe was another option as an 05.
Well, how about the guy that was on top of our list there? But obviously he's so recent.
Matthew Spencer Dahl.
It's too recent.
Yeah,
so
just got here for sure.
But he's been great.
Yeah, and you know what? Like we said a couple of times already, next year's group, especially in net,
well, everywhere.
Man, it's going to be ridiculous to decide between. Again, we're talking about next year now. I don't want to take too much of the spotlight away from the guys that made the team this year. But, you know, when you look at Gage Roberts, Callum Craig, Brett O'Halloran, Preston Patino,
maybe a bounce
Dylan
back
Adams,
from Madden Malacca.
It's going to be, you know, it's going to be a really interesting year next year for sure. But this year's team, we have the roster. We've talked about it now. Why don't we bring in a guy
who really knows what he's talking about?
Who really knows what he's talking about?
We just pretend.
Yeah, we just like to talk about it. But Rick Oakes joins us now. Of course, he's the general manager of this roster. He was a big part in putting it together. Rick, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for the opportunity to come on, guys. It's exciting time with the announcement of the roster today, and looking forward to the tournament.
Absolutely. Now, of course, for those who might not know, Rick is also heavily involved in the Melfort Mustangs. So we'll talk about Melfort maybe a little bit at the end of this, but we want to focus and give spotlight to these guys that are on this roster. So, Rick, when you were making this roster, I guess, what was the mindset going into the process, and what kind of guys were you looking for this roster?
Well, we're going to be one of the younger teams in the tournament, facing some older guys, and we want to make sure we had mature guys that could play the game with skill and compete and bring some character. And I think looking at guys 1 to 20, there's a lot of character in this group, and I think they're going to do well and represent the SJHL to the best of their abilities and put on a good show.
There's a good mix of teams and divisions and stuff on this team. And, you know, Nugsy and I have talked about it quite a bit, and hopefully I'm not stealing one of your questions here, Jamie, but one of the things we talked about was that these guys are all coming together. They don't have a ton of practice time. Is that something that you guys considered in terms of maybe trying to keep a couple of teammates together so that they could come together a little quicker? Because all these other teams that you're going to be facing have all pretty much played together. So was that a consideration at all, or were you simply looking at players, character, skill level, stuff like that?
No, just talking to Drew, he was very cognizant of the left shot, right shot pairings for D and guys that have maybe potentially played together in the past. And I think the big thing with the group overall is we contacted 22 hockey players, and only 2 of them were able to turn us down based on other commitments. So these guys are excited to go play, as well as the coaching staff and the management staff. So we're looking forward to seeing what they can do. The excitement is contagious.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, we don't have the time to go through every single guy on this list, but probably the kids that you're the most familiar with, I would imagine, are Zayden Saddlemeyer and Bo Eisner. How pleased were you that it was such a slam dunk to have those two guys?
No, it's good to have that familiarity with those two guys. We know what they can do with Bo. We've been to 2 Centennial Cup finals with him, and his effort from the start of training camp to the end of the season is absolutely amazing. And Zayden's the same kind of thing. We've only had him for just over a year now, but same kind of guy, brings big character, and I think they'll both be great additions to the team.
Yeah, for sure. I love seeing Zayden on this team, how good he was, because obviously we both watched the Centennial Cup so closely, and he was so good on the biggest stage for Zayden. So that was a big thing for me to see too. I guess just talk about, I guess I really want to. We were just sort of hammering there about the addition of Graham Brown, and some people are stats, and different people are in different situations, and that's just a reality of life. But I guess what did you and Drew and Kyle and everybody that was involved with this see in Graham to go with him with Tritt?
Well, he's a guy that came into the league last year as a 19-year-old, and every night he played, he gave his team an opportunity to win. And there's a lot of nights where he stole hockey games for Kevin Kaminski's Larange Ice Wolves, and that ability to win games and the willingness to compete is huge. And in a short tournament, we're going to need 2 hot goaltenders that can carry the mail for us. And we're pretty confident in Graham's abilities. And I don't know him personally, but just based on every report I've had, he's a huge character guy, and I think he'll be good in the room and just brings a lot of assets to the table that we're going to need.
For sure. One thing that we mentioned last week was how many SJHL alumni are on the other teams that are going to be participating in this tournament. How much was that played into? You kind of already knew who your opponents were going to be. Did that kind of play into any selections at all, knowing maybe we kind of know what we're going to get into here?
Maybe a little. I think we were more focused on putting together the best team we could, and we're confident in the abilities that the guys we've selected, and like I said, character is going to be huge, and just the willingness of these players to go to war for the league is very, very impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Now, obviously, again, short tournament, short come together time. You've picked 5 captains out of the 12 in our 6 if you included Vinny. So half the captains in the league were picked for this team. How important was finding those guys that are used to having that mantle of leadership as well?
No, I think it's important. We're going to need all the leadership we can get, and we need guys that can bring the group together and mold them into one unit. And like you said, Jamie, it is a short tournament, and we're going to have to hit the ground running here. And those guys that are wearing letters on their club teams are going to play a huge role for us.
So I guess for those who aren't fully aware of what the next steps for this are, what are the next steps for the staff, but also getting the players together and then getting them ready as quickly as possible for this tournament?
Well, most of these guys are going to come off their Christmas breaks, and we'll be busting out as a group to Camrose on the 27th. We'll have an opportunity to skate that night, just one practice, unfortunately, but we'll practice on the 27th and jump into our first game at noon on the 28th. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. No
time to think. Maybe that's for the best, just get them on a bus, get them there, and then just get on the ice and play. Don't think about it too much.
Well, yeah, it should be interesting. Yeah, you mentioned all those guys. It'd be nice to see some of those kids that were, have gone on to SAIT or wherever, to Augustana, and see some of those guys again.
It's going to be really great.
Should be fun, a fun little reunion. I want to talk about the process of picking this team, Rick. I guess just how did it work? Was there just a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of emails and texts with you and Drew and whoever else, or how did that look?
Yeah, we put it out to the coaches of the individual teams, received some nominations, and then from there with myself and Kyle McIntyre, we had some calls, put together some lists, and fine-tuned it from there, and shortly thereafter got our calling list out to see who was going to be available and who was willing to play. And like I said, the response was phenomenal, and we're excited to get rolling.
Yeah, it should be fun. Last question then, Rick, and I posted an article about the staff already and kind of asked you this question, but obviously you have some history with Drew Kosher as well, working together. I guess just how has it been working with him specifically? I know you guys are rivals and will want to beat up on the Bruins if you get them in the playoffs, but that's the fun thing about these type of events is you get to work with people that you're trying to crush later. But I guess just talk about the dynamic of you and Drew, and I guess Turner and Kyle too.
Well, when you've been around the league as long as a guy like I have, you get to see some of these coaches on a different level. Drew's actually a player I scouted as a young guy, and had the opportunity to watch Turner the same thing. Watch Turner play a lot of hockey, and at one point he was right in here in Moose Jaw. So I seen him a lot, but both those guys are great young hockey minds, and I really got to give Drew a lot of credit. He's taken an opportunity in Estevan and done great things with it, and his team's off to a very good start, and we wish him nothing but success. But looking forward to working with both these guys with the tournament, and hopefully we can bring home a Viking Cup championship for the SJHL.
The last time I saw Turner Ripplinger, he was on crutches coming out of a physio appointment because he tore his ACL or something, or his meniscus or something like that this summer. So I'm hoping he's up and walking around, because he didn't look too bad, but we both injured our knees.
He's young. He'll heal fast.
We both injured our knees. He's a little bit more on the quick rehab side of things. I'm a little bit older than he is, so it took me a little bit longer, but I'm hoping he's ready to go. I'm sure he is. Rick, if you wouldn't mind indulging me a little bit, just talking about the Melfort Mustangs. Nugsy and I were just talking about the standings and how weird it is, I guess, right now at this time of the year, 25 or 6 or whatever games it is into the season, to see Melfort outside of a playoff spot. That's really weird. It's a weird thing for us. But I was thinking back to back in 2014, 15, 2015, 16, back-to-back championships. The year after that, 10th place finish. So I'm not saying that history repeats itself here, but I mean, you guys have been on a bit of a run. I mean, is it just part of the cycle, I guess, or where do you see the Mustangs sitting right now as a guy who makes a lot of the decisions behind the scenes, or helps makes a lot of the decisions behind the scenes?
No, you're absolutely right. Over the course of the last decade, we have had a lot of success, and the last 2 years going to the Centennial Cup final has been a great run, and we're quite proud of those runs. But coming into this season, we thought we had the pieces to still compete, and we still believe in that. We've made quite a few changes, but I think you guys know the guy I work with as well as I do. So I don't think we're done, and we're not throwing in the towel. So you can expect better things from us moving forward, and especially after Christmas when everybody gets an opportunity to come back refreshed. And we're looking to a strong finish for this season.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Yeah, just the last one from me, Rick. And again, I'm not asking you to speak for the guy that you were referring to there, but
he who shall not be named.
Trevor Blevins, we'll say Trevor Blevins. I think there's something to this. When you coach Canada West, when that is on your mind, obviously Trevor Blevins is from Melfort, lives and breathes and dies Melfort Mustangs hockey. Like, nobody cares more than that guy does. But is there something to maybe the start having something to do with Canada West, or do you just kind of throw that out completely?
No, I think with that Team Canada West, I think there's a huge time commitment as well, and I don't think Trevor will ever admit it, but it takes a lot from your club team as well, and it's tough to keep that 100% focus on both organizations. But like I said, we're still making progress here, and we're expecting a strong finish in the second half. So
yeah, well, as I've said, Barney did that with Humboldt, and then his team was awesome when he came back. Reagan
last year,
they struggled a little bit.
Same thing.
Awesome when they came back. So the pattern looks good for the Mustangs.
Yeah, it's definitely looking good. Well, Rick, I really appreciate your time today. I know there's a lot to do in the next, 15 or so days to get everything ready to go. So we'll let you get going. But again, appreciate the time today, and hope to chat again down the road.
Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate the opportunity. All the best. Merry Christmas to y'all.
There we go. Rick Oakes. He's been around the block a couple times with this league, and a couple of championship rings as well to tell the tale. Nugsy, I thought to finish off the show, obviously before we look at the upcoming schedule, why don't we have some fun with the Viking Cup roster? So it's funny, we had a little bit of miscommunication before the show. You didn't hear what I said, but Viking Cup lines and pairings. And Nugsy's like, you want us to line up the parents? I was like, no, not line up the parents.
I got some wax in the ear, I guess.
Let's have some fun.
You're talking about being old. I'm older than you.
Yeah. Let's talk about some lines. So I thought we could throw together who we think might play together just for fun, because we know the roster. So why don't we throw together who we think might play together? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Well, one of us can do forwards first, and one of us can do D first.
Sure. I'll do forwards first. How about we do that? Let's keep this roster up as we talk about it, just so people can reference who's going where. Obviously, we don't have graphics for this made because we just came up with the idea like 3 minutes before we started. But I think I'm going to go with Jai Zawatsky, with Ewan Rennie and Rylan Williams. So I'm keeping the Bruins together, and I think a guy like Jai Zawatsky is reminiscent of Cash Olsen in terms of style. So I think that's a good fit together. The Weyburn Red Wings stay together. Josh Sale, Lucas Schmidt, Drew Moldy.
I had that too.
Keep them together. I'm putting that as a second line, quote unquote, but I mean, whatever. We're not worried about like number 1 through 4 because they're all good lines. I'm putting Zayden Saddlemeyer with Anthony Campbell and Brendan Olsen. I think that's a good mix. Lots of skill. We got some size there. And then Reed Arbery, Joey Lees, and Van Egger as I'm going to call it the physical energy line or whatever you want to call it. But I think that's a really solid line. They could do some producing. And I think they're going to play. They would fit well together. Plus, you keep the Bombers together. And then you throw Van Egger, who I think is very pliable. I think you can play with anybody. You
could play 1 to 12,
Absolutely. So I think that's a good. I think that's a decent mix. How different are your lines?
Well, I had the wings together. I tried to think about, like, if you had a right shot, is he used to playing on the left? That kind of a thing. So Rylan Williams plays, even though he's a right shot, he does play on the left a lot. Because Cash Olsen then will play on the right in the line in Estevan. So I kept Williams on the left. With Rennie in the middle, and then Zayden Saddlemeyer on the right with that big game experience. And
I was kind of thinking about Zawatsky and Saddlemeyer as almost interchangeable pieces in a sense.
So, but I like having, like the physical element of Saddlemeyer with those skill guys. Obviously, the Weyburn guys know each other. They're all gritty and big and heavy dudes. Again, so you could throw the Sale, Schmidt, and Moldy together. And obviously, the thing about Schmidt and Moldy, and they don't play together that much for Weyburn because they're both elite centermen. And so again, but they could go with whoever's hotter. And then of course, I kept the Flin Flon boys, Lees and Arbery together. Arbery on the right, and then because they're heavy, physical, sort of north-south type kids. You put Jai Zawatsky with them; they'll create space, and then Jai can be creative and use his speed and score goals. And then you got Anthony Campbell in between Olsen on the left and Van Egger on the right, and you just have between Olsen and Egger on the same line. That's just no fun.
That would not be fun. You're right.
And then Tony Campbell just has time and space to wheel and deal and pick a pass.
Set those guys up
because those guys can be set up. That's
great.
So there you go. Those are my forwards.
A lot of fun there.
But I mean, Drew's probably got his own, and he's probably going to tell us, "Oh, mine's totally different. You guys are idiots." Maybe. Anyways,
he would. Too.
Yeah, he would for sure. Okay, let's go to the D then.
You start off.
So I put Sam Ward on the left with Boston Harkness. Again, you got a skill guy in Ward, and you got a guy that can move pucks and generate skill, but he'll kind of do it all. And then Ethan Andrews on the left with Gavin Granger, two guys that can move pucks, play in their own zone too, have really grown in that area, and I like that combo. And then you've got Russ Demo and Bo Eisner for kind of a more of a shutdown type pairing will keep it really simple. So
look at this.
There you go, a guy making some lines, and then and then Charlie Tritt and Graham Brown. So I don't know. So Ward and Harkness, Andrews and Granger, Demo and Eisner.
I'm pretty close. I went divisions. I just went keep the guys who see each other often. I know they don't. Defensemen don't directly play against each other, but they are on the ice at the same time. So I put Andrews with Harkness. Are we doing this? How are we doing this? How did I end up on there?
There you go.
Andrews and Harkness. I put
high technology right
Demo and Granger, so the Nutrien division. And then I put the UPL division together, Ward and Eisner. The reason
for that...
You
really can't go wrong, though.
No, you really can't. And the nice part, like I said earlier, it's such a good mix where Andrews, he's a bit smaller, a bit more puck-moving type. Harkness, bit bigger, physical threat. Demo, a bit bigger, physical threat. Granger, not as big, puck mover. Ward, puck mover. Eisner, physical threat. It's all. I mean, you had similar matchups. Just you switched a couple guys.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really nice group where you have a lot of options.
Yeah.
And you can kind of mix and match. But I said just keep the division guys together, and it'll be fun there. So either way, you're getting a good group, and I think it's going to be fun to see how they all fit together when Drew and Turner, Ripplinger get a hold of the lines and see what they want to do with it. It's going to be fun. And then Tritt and Brown, obviously. Don't want to give them. We can't really speculate. No. They'll split the games. So
they'll split them.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Final notes before we go, Nugsy. Let's just have a look at the upcoming schedule for the weekend because it is a big weekend. I think there's 10 games, if I'm not mistaken. On Friday, it's a Bungie Division matchup between Melville and Estevan. Weyburn's going to be up in Warman for a 2-game set. Flin Flon's going to be in Battlefords for a 2-game set. And then Humboldt and Melfort have a home-and-home series this weekend. So there you go. Estevan's going to flip-flop with Melville on Saturday. Battlefords is still hosting Flin Flon. Melfort and Humboldt swap venues. Nipawin and Kindersley get into it, and they have a 2-game set this weekend as well. And then Weyburn takes on Warman again for that second half of that weekend set. And then Nipawin and Kindersley again on Sunday for a 4 p.m. puck drop. That's going to be a big series. Those 2 games between Nipawin and Kindersley, they're neck and neck in the standings right now. But there's a lot going on this weekend. I look at Flin Flon Battlefords as a really good measuring stick for both teams. Flin Flon obviously wants to get first place back. It's going to be a tall task, and I think the reason for that is Battlefords A is very good, but B, Weyburn, who's ahead of them now, plays Warman twice. Favorable matchup, not necessarily saying it's an easy win, just saying a favorable matchup. And I think Warman can easily play spoiler, so I'm not worried about that. But it's going to be a big weekend, Newsy. Anything stand out to you when you think about the upcoming 10 games here?
Yeah, well, it's busy for Weyburn, right? 3 and 4 days there, with, I guess, today off. But, yeah, hey, I mean, I got my eyes on Melfort and Humboldt.
Yes.
Home and home. 2 teams that are way better than where they are in the standings. They know that.
Yeah.
If there's anything actually wrong with Jacob Streetsy, really wrong, that'll be interesting to see how Humboldt deals with that. But we saw Nathan De Silva look terrific right away for them. So it should be very interesting. You heard Rick Oakes talk about how Melfort's, made some changes, some moves. Obviously, Austin Oshovy on the back end is one that jumps out in my mind, and among others. But yeah, so those are 2 teams trying to find their footing and try to keep the other one down at the same time. So I find that really interesting. But I'm sure, and I don't need to tell Mike Reagan this. Yeah. But Battlefords is basically banana peel team this year. Like, they will beat anybody, and they've shown it. And they have that what people call it, the inner conceit that Aristotle talked about. The idea that on the outside people think this, but on the inside they believe that they are the best team in the SJHL, and they keep proving it. So
Ryan in the back just said, "Great reference."
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
Aristotle, meritocracy. This is the smartest hockey show you'll ever watch.
There you
go. The one thing I'll build on with you on your Humboldt Melfort take, that it's not take, it wasn't a take, just your Humboldt Melfort notes, is that I feel like it's a very, very big, monumental, I'll even say, weekend for Melfort. And the reason for that, they're just coming off a 2-game sweep loss to Melville last weekend, ahead of them in the standings, just ahead of them, and now they're more ahead of them. Melville doesn't play this weekend. They play
on Saturday.
They play twice. They play Estevan. Yorkton doesn't play this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. But Yorkton also has 30 points. So what I'm trying to say is, Melfort's right now 9 points back of Yorkton and Melville, 8 points back of Humboldt. If they lose both these games this weekend, Nugsy, Humboldt will gain 4 more points on them, which will put them 12 points up. And then you never know what Melville's going to do with Estevan. But that will keep them, if they lose both games, 9 points out of a playoff spot. Humboldt's going to move up. It's just going to be a huge, huge hill if they can't get at least 2 points out of this weekend, especially against the team that's directly above them in the standings. And because both teams are kind of in similar boats right now, where literally they're both 2-7-0-1 in their last 10 games. They're both having struggles in the last 10 games. So this is a big weekend. I think if Melfort wants to, what Rick Oakes just said, be serious about making that push, second half, different team, all that, this is the weekend it has to start, because you can't, in my opinion, go back-to-back weekends getting swept at this point where they're sitting at in the standings right now with how things have been going. That's bad.
And the
That's
last
rough.
thing I'll say about it is the good kids in this world, when they have a substitute teacher, don't want their regular homeroom teacher to come back and see that their absence was any kind of an excuse. So Melfort kids, I'm not cheering for anybody because obviously, we don't cheer for anybody, but be good kids and don't give your substitute teacher a hard time.
Listen to Clark, not me, the other one, Huxley.
So, they do not want Trevor Blevins to come back from the Junior A World Challenge in the state that you just mentioned.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Nugsy, you crushed it today. This is a great show. We had a lot of fun. Obviously, the Viking Cup is not in for a couple more weeks. It's obviously happening between Christmas Day and the end, like New Year's.
But tune in tomorrow to HN Live, folks.
Yeah,
Junior
tomorrow.
A World Challenge semis. Our boys need you.
Junior A World Challenge. It's going to be a good time. Am I mistaken that Peter Labardius is calling that game? For HN
I don't
Live?
know. I mean, it's been Dave Dawson. So far.
I thought it was Dave and Peter, maybe.
But I don't know. Yeah.
Either way, Dave Dawson, great broadcaster.
And then the championship will be on TSN.
Right, championship is on TSN, exactly. So it should be a fun time. 10 games coming up this weekend. Viking Cup news just came out, obviously. So a lot of exciting times. The trade freeze is over.
Yep.
There were a couple, not a ton of moves. A couple guys out more than anything. So we don't have a ton to report there. But what I will say is, just from knowing where teams are at, is the 9-day window once the trades freeze is lifted. I feel like it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yep.
That's all I'll say for now.
Very.
Going to be interesting, folks. Teams know where they're at.
New Year's Day is when it reopens.
There is, right now, I would say 10 teams that think they're playoff teams, at least, maybe more than 10 out of the 12, and they are all going to gun for it. I feel like it's going to be a really, really interesting trade window in January. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media channels. Of course, we're going to have the Viking Cup article out on SJHL.ca. If you're listening to this, there's probably a decent chance it's out, but it might be like an hour or so. If you're like as soon as we post it, you're watching this or listening, probably won't be out yet, but about 3:30 or so, we're going to have that out for you. So make sure you share that around. But make sure you follow all of our channels because we will have a lot of coverage for you this weekend, of course, as we always do. And subscribe to our YouTube channel to get all the highlights and everything going on there. And thank you one more time to our sponsors. Cantera Seeds, Canalta Hotels, Capital Automotive Group, SGEU, Sask Lotteries, UPL, of course, our broadcast sponsor altogether. Look at little Nugsy, by the way. I always forget that he's there, and then I see him. He's just hanging out on the shelf.
Yep.
Chevrolet, our highlights sponsor, Great Western Brewing Company, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaderstad, the Viking Cup sponsor. Nugsy, I guess just before we go, because we still have a little bit of time, why not? Can you tell the people your Viking Cup broadcast plans?
Yeah, well, obviously,
do we have those nailed down
depending on if the technology will, like if the internet works well enough in the building, I suppose. I'm sure it'll be fine. Apparently it's a beautiful rink. They're the Encana Arena in Camrose. And it'll be on YouTube Live, pardon me.
Our channel, the SJHL channel?
The SJHL channel, YouTube Live. It'll be audio only. But you get to hear my voice, and it'll be 100% free.
Yeah.
And we'll have interviews, pre-game interviews and interviews during the week. And I'm really looking forward to calling some games. So
that'll be good.
I missed that a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that'll be great for you.
So it'll be a lot of fun.
Scratch an itch.
Scratch an itch. And I'll be a one-man show up there like I was with Notre Dame for a while. So should be a lot of fun.
I'm looking at pictures of the rink right now in Camrose. Looks great.
Yeah, it's great rink.
It's all the way around. It's a full
It's
bowl and an upper bowl too.
Home of the AJHL Kodiaks as well as Augustana. So
nice.
they'll know
they're the
rink,
home team.
Obviously there. So
yeah, nice. It looks like a great rink. I think you'll get good internet there. That's my guess. Anyways, gonna say bye for now. Thanks to Bryce and Ryan. Huge shout out to Ryan. Both of these guys, by the way, you're looking at them, dealing with sick kids right now. They're battling. And Ryan came in today. He threw his kid in a snowbank, and he drove in, said, fend for yourself, kid. You're on your own. Obviously, you didn't do
You sure about that?
Obviously, he didn't do that. I'm kidding. Ryan's a great father. But anyways, both battling sick kids. So Bryce, Ryan, really appreciate you guys for coming in and making everything happen as you always do. Thanks to Kelly Lewick, of course. Rick Oakes. Thanks to Rick. You know, I've known of Rick for a long time. That's the first time I've ever actually talked to him in person. Well,
Such
not
a nice
really in
guy.
person, but you know what I mean. And Jamie, thank you. Thank you to all you for listening and watching. Big weekend coming up. Make sure if you see all the news get posted later today, you like, you share it, you retweet it for the Viking Cup roster. We want to blow it up and make sure these kids get a big spotlight, and it's going to be a fun time. So bye for now. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the hockey. Hopefully the roads are all right, and we'll talk to you again on Monday on SJHL Weekly. Bye for now.